When you engage with people about Israel, whether it's offline or online, I want you to keep this in mind. You're not trying to win an argument. The overarching strategy that we should all be aligning on is constantly making sure that the international window of opportunity for Israel stays open. By window of opportunity, I mean limited international pressure to stop the war on the Israeli side, limited international pressure to allow Israel to do everything in its power to release the hostages. Okay? And this is not a political statement. If you're deeply concerned about humanitarian issues in Gaza, and I am, by the way, then that's perfectly fine. And you're going to see later how we can incorporate that into the conversation. But if we all want to remember, if we all want to have our eyes on the ball is international support. And international support is driven by public opinion. Number two, public opinion is actually affected by the majority, and the majority is a silent, indecisive majority. If I asked a lot of people, how many people out of 100 are against Israel, people would probably say 70 or 80. But the data that I showed you demonstrates a very different story. And this has been true for 20, 30 years now. About 70% of the population, which is the silent majority, doesn't really know. And if you push their back to the wall, they will probably end up identifying with Israel because they have more shared Western democratic values with us than they do with the Palestinians. But we don't go after the silent majority, do we? We go after the violent, loud minority. We go after the people who are posting all these negative posts on Israel, and we get drawn to them like flies to light. That's a huge, huge strategic mistake. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's talk about what the narrative should be. I didn't go into additional data, but if you listen to a talk by Joanna, if you see the report she's coming out with, you'll see that sentiment analysis, which is a process of evaluating how people feel through the analysis of the text of the post that they put online, demonstrates that the most amount of positive response and support, the easiest way to establish consensus is by talking about the hostages. Hostages appeal to the system one of the brain that I talked about before. Hostages don't require in-depth analysis. They don't require a long logical argument. Anybody who's seen any Hollywood movie that has hostages in it knows hostages are innocents. Those who took them are criminals. And if we can stay on that, that allows Israel the moral legitimacy to do what it needs to bring back 240 people, of which many are international citizens of more than one country in Israel, of which are kids, babies, and the hostages, the more we can focus on that, the better. So if you are trying to drive the conversation in a certain direction, if somebody asks you a difficult question, you want to try to bring it back to the hostages as much as you can. Secondary narrative, Hamas is the root cause of this. So if we're looking to really solve the humanitarian crisis, we would be wise to look at the root cause. We would be wise to constantly focus everybody's attention on the fact that Hamas is doing this to us and to its own people. Here are some rules for online engagement, which I'm not going to spend too much time on today. Today, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the offline. But for online engagement, again, we want to do the counterintuitive thing. Do not engage with negative posts. If you understand how social media works, it's based on an algorithm that is constantly trying to figure out which posts are getting most amount of engagement, and the ones that get engagement get distributed more. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they're all run by an algorithm that is trying to figure out what's going to glue people to the screen so that they can sell more ads. And so they're looking for the most active posts, and those posts get spread and amplified. So when you answer a negative post, you're actually helping it reach more people. If you must engage with somebody who wrote something negative on Israel, do it through a private direct message, because the direct messages do not get tracked by the algorithm. It's harder to do at scale. It's less satisfying. But effective Israel advocacy is not about satisfying our own needs. It's actually about creating an impact that is measurable. And so engaging with negative posts creates a negative impact. On the flip side, you want to engage with positive posts. You want to rally and hunt impacts. If you see a positive post, share it with your friends. Have them share it. The sooner you share a post, the more it gets amplified. That is the high-level strategy we recommend. tactically speaking, for online advocacy.